true unsung hero, one person at a time.
Phenomenal young man. My name is Gideon Fonokwai, the story warrior. So Mary, thank you for making the time. I know you are the founder of Transparent Place Ministries. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes. And you're using Transparent Place Ministries to bring your light to the world, to help people to understand the power of prayer, to understand and to develop a deeper understanding of faith in God. That is as good as it gets. You've always been around the ministry for a long time. But at what moment did you discover, man, I got to do this? This is my calling. This is my way of life. I have to go out there and live it. At what moment did you arrive at that decision?
There were many aha moments, but I think one of the defining moments would be during the pandemic. I had recently lost my house and my car, and I was laid off the year before, the beginning of 2019. So when the pandemic came, me, like so many other people, were just struggling. We were locked in our homes, and I was actually at a friend's home. And I got a call from someone that I ministered to earlier that year and for many years prior. And they called me and I said, we were talking, and they offered me the opportunity to teach their network. I had known that I had a teaching gift, but I didn't realize that it could be monetized. And this was
to teach
yes,
what?
to teach spiritual disciplines of prayer and fasting, and just understanding the word, understanding the Bible. So being able to not only curate the curriculum, but the individual lesson plans, and being able to present it to her network of over 15 to 20 people.
Okay.
So I would say that was definitely a defining moment that allowed me to get out of my friend's home. It allowed me to establish my ministry. And it also allowed me to impact the lives of every woman and man who showed up for those online classes.
Wow. So you, of course, you've been a prayer warrior for long. You recommended some books for me on fasting and I think prayer.
Yeah.
And you were already around the corridor of worship, prayer, faith, and God wanted to extend that gift in some ways
Yes.
and sent you someone to call you to go and help out.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind, can you take us to that day? Where were you? What day? What time? And just help us kind of like feel like what was going on, because you have maybe another 1 minute to finish that, or 1.5 minutes, and then I'll give you some feedback looking at it through the lens of story warrior.
Okay. Okay. So he's given me 60 seconds. Okay.
Okay. 90 seconds, as much as you can take. Yeah.
Okay. I was sitting in a space in the home that I was sleeping at, using my computer, whatever. So that was just in a secluded space. And at that point, with everything that was happening during the pandemic, I felt it was not only time to pray, but I was fasting at that point. Wasn't really asking God for an opportunity, asking God for some opportunity that would help me monetize my gifts, monetize whatever, so I can provide a home for me and my son. And when the call came, it wasn't really anything special, more than it was just me catching up with an old friend and checking in to see if she was okay from the pandemic and what have you. As the conversation meandered, she started talking about her network, and she was saying, this is what I would love for someone to teach my women what to do in these spiritual disciplines, and I found myself saying yes. Like, I could do that. I could come up with a curriculum. I could come up with books to read. I can, and even as I was saying it, it's so interesting when you're in those type of conversations where it's just organically falling into place. You're not really quite sure what you're saying yes to, but you're kind of saying yes because it sounds like the right thing to do. But I also was present enough to say, God, is what I was just praying for before I got on this phone call, was it actually happening in real time? And that's when it became so present to me, as in all the years of teaching devotionals, all the years of teaching Sunday school, all the years of teaching even in a corporate space. Was this the culmination, being able to create something for myself to be monetized, to help me in what I was doing? So I think that if those were details, it was during the day, the sun was shining, wasn't raining.
Okay.
There were tons of children in the house, so it was bustling and it was kind of hard to hear sometimes. But I was present enough to know this was a God moment, and I needed to be fully engaged and fully present.
Did you take that call inside or outside? And
inside, because
inside.
At that point we were too scared to go outside, and also that during the pandemic there were so many false narratives that were spoken. That was just, when we look back now, it was crazy, but
Yep. Okay, thank you so much. Of course, part of my thing is I'm the guy that believes that our stories can be our superpower.
Yes.
And some of the ideas that I've picked up over the years, I've shared them with people through my book, The Science of Storytelling. So I want to just take up some ideas from there to see if I can provide some feedback on the way you told the story, which, by the way, is a fascinating story. I would say maybe there are a couple of things we can look at. There's so many, but I want to just summarize them. I want to call it the acid test, the story warriors acid test method, to look at the story, to take it apart and see what can we fix here, what can we pick there, and make sure that you can use this better as you continue to evangelize and reach more people. So the first thing I would say is consider maybe to start that telling with a question like, have you ever heard that the darkest hour of the night is at dawn? And you can say, but when I say the darkest hour of the night, it's not always at night. Sometimes it can be in the daytime, because we were in the heart of the pandemic. And my son and I had lost our home. We were living with someone, and it was a very dark moment for us. Even though we were in a home, the home was loud, noisy. There were a lot of children in the home. I was sitting at one corner, but I did not even have the courage to step out sometimes. What is that? I think that's a small way to start with an attention grabber. Not that anything that you did was wrong, but I'm just giving new ideas. You're trying to pull them into your story. You want them to be curious, want them to lean in and say, wait, tell me more. What do you mean that the darkest hour of the night is at dawn? And you're not even talking about the night, you're talking about midday. Say it was midday outside, but it was absolute darkness inside because we lost our home. It was midday outside, but it was absolute darkness inside because we were scared to go out because of the pandemic. But we were even more scared because we lost our home and our car. Have you ever lost your home and your car? Now, maybe somebody's never lost, and you see, some of you, or you don't know anything about losing your home. You may not know anything about losing your car, but have you ever lost anything very precious to you? Once again, the purpose of that is to draw them into the story.
That's good.
Trying to use what I call an attention grabber.
Yeah.
And then the second thing you can then go from there is to start giving the other details. The home was loud, the children were singing or they were dancing, or they were doing all kinds of manners of things that children do. And I was describe the bed on which you're sleeping. Were you sleeping on the floor? Were you sleeping on the bed? Were you on a couch? Describe that a little bit. And was it a cozy corner or not the most cozy corner? And you can say, yes, it was comfortable, but compared to someone who owned a home in New Jersey, that was not New Jersey comfort.
No.
Where was your son sleeping? Maybe he was somewhere else, maybe he was on my couch, or maybe it's then describe that very briefly. When I got that call, something said to me, this call is important. Could this be the call that I was waiting for, that I was praying to get? I don't know, but let's listen to the lady. Now, you can go a little bit into the dialogue between you and that lady. Hello, sister. How have you been? What's going on? That. Now, select just a few back and forth from your conversation with that lady. Not all, just those that are critical. Why? Because dialogue is powerful. Dialogue draws us in. We're not sure what's Mary going to say. What's the lady saying? What's going on? And then come to that moment where she said, would you be open to teaching a class about spirituality or spiritual gifts? You look around like, God, is that you speaking to this woman? God, where are you? Are you below my chair? Is this? So you acted out almost like a little silly, but you said something at the back of my mind said, is speaking to me through this woman. I just been praying and fasting for 15 days, for 10 days, or for 2 days. And something said, this call is important. So I stood up and I sat down. I stood up and sat down. My heart was pumping. My palms were a little sweaty. I wanted to hush the children, but I knew it's not my home. But as we spoke on, the lady said, I need you to teach this class for me. I need your help. And before I realized, I said yes. And then after that, I realized, but Mary, what do you know about teaching adults? You've always done these things, but money is involved this time. Are you sure? Mary, are you a professor? Mary, are you a certified teacher? I'm not a certified teacher. Are you a professor? No, I'm not a professor. Are you an educator? No, I used to be a corporate planner. So what have you got to do with this? Are you a pastor? No. Are you a pastor's wife? No. Then you can talk about, at that moment, you started to suffer from a little bit of
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome. Why? Because that's powerful and it affects all of us.
Yeah.
Then you can actually ask the person that you're talking to or your audience, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? Then you go from there to talk about that, well, it was too late. I already given a yes.
Yeah.
All right. Then you give your insight that, as far as I know, your yes is your bond. That's a little bit of insight from you.
Yeah.
When you say yes, better stand by
That's
it.
it.
That's what your mom taught you. That's what your
Yeah.
parents taught you. And you also want to be able to teach that to your son. You don't want to be a
Yes.
flaky yes person. So that's your personal insight. And then from there, you could talk about the fact that this experience was both inspiring
Mhm.
and exasperating. Because on one hand, I'm going to be getting some income, but on the other hand, I'm going to be put under the tests. I'm going to be
Oh,
put
yeah.
under the spotlight. Would these people like my work?
Yeah.
Would they like my stick? Would they like my approach of teaching? And then end with, what is the message from it? What did you learn from it? That message needs to be a little bit clear. It taught me, when you pray in faith, God reaches you in human flesh.
Mm.
When you pray in faith, God reaches you in human flesh. He sent a human to you. He did not send an angel. When you pray in faith, we can always structure that a little bit, but we can tighten it up. But again, God doesn't come up and say, hey, Mary, this is me, or that kind of thing. So you can put that. But the whole point I wanted to say is, I'm using the acid test method, in which I'm talking about attention grabbing. I'm talking about a clear message. I'm talking about an insight that reveals a part of you that we're not seeing very much on the surface, but we need to know, because stories are meant to build trust. And last but not least, is it a little bit dramatic? Yes, that acting out, of you and that lady, that's a little bit of act out. And you look at God, is this you again? Or where have you been? Where you been when my house was taken? Where were you when my son was kicked out? No, only now you show up. Okay, anyway, show up. Tell me what is this the message you have for me? Okay, thank you. Show me the way. I want to be able to make a living from this and move out with my son because my son is so sick and tired of not bringing his girlfriend home because they're living in a home with. So that is the humorizing part of it. But for now, we're not talking about humor. We just wanted to talk about attention grabbing, conciseness, and clarity. We want to talk about insight. I want to talk about having dramatic delivery so that the audience is completely glued, like they're going. One moment they're like excited, one moment excited, one moment they're threatened, one moment they're like. So all of that, the ups and downs, that's what makes a story fascinating. And I know you have all of that, Mary, but I wanted to just give you the benefit of my 2 cents.
That is, I'm smiling from ear to ear because I don't think I'm trying to remember if I ever told that story in public. I don't even think I even told that story in public. So I'm just the way you couched it in the beginning and just the acting through, and it made me think more about the actual conversation. So I'm smiling because I said, wow, that's a whole devotional right there. Like that is a whole devotional. Just listening to you, I'm just like,
may I
what?
suggest that is your why story. You got to tell it every time you teach that class. They got to know that, otherwise they don't know that Mary is God sent. Or they don't know you have a superpower, and that superpower is discernment. You were able to see in that moment. How many of us can see when God's sending somebody to us? Some of us are like, oh, there's so much, like our eyes are glued, we can't even see. So you were able to see. Seriously, if you don't tell that, if you tell that story, it dramatically raises your price. It dramatically raises your value proposition at that moment because you are like the right person, the right lady at the right place that was sent to teach this to us. So that story is a bridge between who you are and your message to the world. That's my little truth, the story warrior, and I'm standing by it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for the advice, and I'm totally going to use it.